Well, it looks like it's been done. Well, it's gotten done. Israel and Hamas will have an official ceasefire, and it looks like some of those prisoners will be coming home. It also looks like Joe Biden is taking credit for it, and I think we both know what the truth is. Welcome to GRN Inside America. Well, today we're a little bit outside America, but it has to do with America. We're also going to touch on Michelle Obama not wanting to go to the inauguration. We're going to touch on all that stuff. But first, Joe Biden has an announcement to make. He's claiming that there's been a ceasefire and arranged. There's been a ceasefire arranged, and that there will be some prisoners being sent home. I don't think it's the power of Joe Biden, but I think it's the power of DT. You tell me.
That is the president you see there with the vice president and the secretary of state. Let's listen.
Good afternoon. It's a very good afternoon because at long last I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas. More than 15 months of conflict that began with Hezbollah's brutal massacre on October the 7th. More than 15 months of terror for the hostages, their families, the Israeli people. More than 15 months of suffering by the innocent people of Gaza. Fighting in Gaza will stop, and soon the hostages will return home to their families.
I can just never get used to Joe Biden just having these, brain farts while he's giving speeches. I should be used to it by now because it's like every time he opens his mouth, it's like a crazy sentence that doesn't make sense. But I just can't get used to it.
The elements of this deal are what I laid out in detail this past May, which was embraced by countries around the world.
Right, you may have offered the deal, but nobody took it serious until somebody we know got elected.
And endorsed overwhelmingly by the UN Security Council. The deal is structured in 3 phases. Phase 1 will last 6 weeks. It includes a full and complete ceasefire, withdrawal of Israeli forces from all the populated areas of Gaza, and the release of a number of hostages held by Hamas, including women and elderly and the wounded. And I'm proud to say Americans will be part of that hostage release in phase 1 as well. And the Vice President and I cannot wait to welcome them home. In exchange, Israel released hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. And during phase 1, the Palestinians can also return to their neighborhoods in all the areas of Gaza.
Yeah, what's left of it.
The surge of humanitarian assistance into Gaza will begin, and the innocent people can have a greater access to these vital supplies. During the next 6 weeks, Israel will negotiate the necessary arrangements to get phase 2, which is a permanent end of the war. Let me say it again, a permanent end of the war. There are a number of details to negotiate to move from phase 1 to phase 2, but the plan says if negotiations take longer than 6 weeks, the ceasefire will continue as long as the negotiations continue. I've spoken to the Emir of Kuwait and the President of Egypt, and we have pledged to make sure the negotiations will keep moving forward for as long as it takes. Then, when phase 2 begins, there will be an exchange for release of the remaining living hostages, including male soldiers, and all remaining Israeli forces will be withdrawn from Gaza, and the temporary ceasefire will become permanent.
Well, with everything completely just bombed out, where could the American hostages possibly be? I mean, just critically thinking, Israel has literally bombed the whole area inside out. So I'm figuring, where is these hostages?
And finally, phase 3, any final remains of hostages who have been killed will be returned to their families. And a major reconstruction plan for Gaza will begin. This is the ceasefire agreement I introduced last spring. Today, Hamas and Israel have agreed to that ceasefire agreement and the whole ending the war. You know, those of you who have followed the negotiations can attest, the road to this deal has not been easy. I've worked in foreign policy for decades. This is one of the toughest negotiations I've ever experienced. And we reached this point because of the pressure that Israel built on Hamas, backed by the United States. Hamas's longtime leader, Sinwar, was killed. Hamas's strongest supporter, Iran, launched attacks on Israel. And those attacks failed after my administration organized a coalition of nations to stop them. And after I ordered the U.S. ships and planes to come to Israel's defense, we also shaped Israel's strong and calibrated response, destroying Iran's air defenses, but avoiding an escalatory cycle of an all-out war. The United States also organized a coalition of 20 countries to stand up to attacks by the Houthis, including their missile attacks in Israel. Then, Hezbollah, another of Hamas's strongest backers, was significantly weakened on the battlefield, and its leadership was destroyed. With our support, Israel negotiated a ceasefire with them, and after that, Lebanon finally elected a new president who's not beholden to Hezbollah, and he can begin a new chapter for the Lebanese people. All told, these developments in the region, which the United States helped to shape, changed the equation. And so now, the terror network that once protected and sustained Hamas is far weaker. Iran is weaker. Iran is weaker than it's been in decades. Hezbollah is badly degraded. And after more than 15 months of war, Hamas's senior leaders are dead. Thousands of Hamas fighters are dead.
They're priming for something
bigger. The military formations have been destroyed. With nowhere to turn, Hamas finally agreed to releasing hostages. You know, there was no other way for this war to end than with a hostage deal. And I'm deeply satisfied this day has finally come, for the sake of the people of Israel and the families waiting in agony, and for the sake of the innocent people in Gaza who suffered unimaginable devastation because of the war. The Palestinian people have gone through hell. Too many innocent people have died. Too many communities have been destroyed. In this deal, the people of Gaza can finally recover and rebuild. They can look to a future without Hamas in power.
Okay.
You know, the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers.
Oh, God.
Many peacemakers helped make this deal happen, including an extraordinary team of American diplomats who have worked nonstop for months to get this done. Secretary Blinken led the effort. Secretary Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Bill Burns, John Feiner, Brett McGurk, Amos Hochstein, and the Vice President worked relentlessly as we work to deliver this deal. I'd also note this deal was developed and negotiated under my administration, but its terms will be implemented, for the most part, by the next administration. In these past few days, we've been speaking as one team. This has been time of real turmoil in the Middle East. But as I prepare to leave office, our friends are strong, our enemies are weak, and there's a genuine opportunities for a new future. In Lebanon,
I don't know, man.
There's an opportunity for a future, free from the grip of Hezbollah. In Syria, a future free from the tyranny of Assad. And for the Palestinian people, a credible pathway to a state of their own. And for the region, a future of normalization, integration of Israel and all its Arab neighbors, including Saudi Arabia. At the G20 in Delhi in September 23, I rallied key countries behind a vision of an economic corridor from India across the Middle East to Europe. That vision can now become a reality. There are risks as well, including ISIS and Iran, even in a badly weakened state, but we're handing off then to the next team a real opportunity for a brighter future for the Middle East.
Yeah, you've been trying to sabotage it the whole time, Joe. You know it.
My friend for years in the United States Senate, former Senator George Mitchell, who did so much to forge peace in Northern Ireland, once said about diplomacy, he said, it is a 700 days of failure and 1 day of success. 700 days of failure and 1 day of success. Well, we've had many difficult days since Hamas began its terrible war. We've encountered roadblocks and setbacks. We've not given up. And now, after more than 400 days of struggle, a day of success has arrived. God bless all the hostages and their families. May God protect the troops of all those who work for peace.
Mr. President, how do you see the future of Gaza now? As you were saying, the implementation of this deal will be in the hands of the next administration. And basically, they will shape the future of Gaza. So how do you see this future? And also, how much credit do you give to the Trump team for this deal? Trump is already taking credit for it.
Well, you know, this is the exact framework of the deal I proposed back in May. Exact. And we got the world to endorse it. Secondly, it's America's
until
support
after
for
he got
Israel
elected.
that helped them badly weaken Hamas and its backers and create the conditions for this deal. And thirdly, I knew this deal would have to be implemented by the next team. So I told my team to coordinate closely with the incoming team to make sure we're all speaking with the same voice, because that's what American presidents do. Thank you.
In the how many Americans will be released when the hostages are being released?
Don't know.
All the exact detail of how many people are being held, how many bodies will be returned and less, will all be forthcoming. All of it, all of it. Thank you.
This deal will hold.
I'm confident. Thank you.
Folks, credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Trump.
Is that a joke? Oh.
That is really not a joke. We know. Is that a joke? Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what finalized this deal. I'm gonna tell you when people started talking about this deal and how that got finalized, and it starts right here. This is when the deal pretty much got finalized right here.
I will end
at the
every single
RNC.
international crisis that the current administration has created, including the horrible war with Russia and Ukraine, which would have never happened if I was president, and the war caused by the attack on Israel, which would have never happened if I was president, and the entire world. I tell you this, we want our hostages back, and they better be back before I assume office.
And that's exactly what's happening.
Paying a very big price.
That's what got the deal done. That right there. That's what got the deal done. It wasn't Joe. It wasn't Sleepy Joe, hard at work, trying to put deals together, trying to make sure this has an end. No, Trump said, "Listen, if these hostages ain't back by the time I get into office," that's all he had to say. That's all he had to say. But speaking of getting in office, somebody really isn't interested in him getting in office and will not be at the inauguration. And yeah.
Michelle Obama's office confirming to CNN tonight that she will skip Donald Trump's inauguration next Monday without explaining why she's going to be absent at an event that is traditionally attended by both former presidents and their spouses, notable exception from last year. This means the former first...
I'm surprised these people are even thinking about showing their heads, and she's actually doing the right thing by not showing up, because black men everywhere showed Obama before the election that he was no longer relevant.
First Lady will not come face-to-face with the president-elect. This also comes after she missed Jimmy Carter's state funeral here in Washington last week, where, as you can tell by the seating chart that you're looking at here, had she gone, she would have been sitting next to...
And you see Trump and Obama just kicking it, right? And they just talking like... That's why I really don't buy this whole Democrat-Republican whole shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know Democrats are terrible, and I know Republicans, but I don't buy that they're really against each other. They're working with each other, you know.
Trump himself. Former President Obama will attend the inauguration, we are told, and our sources are saying
Obama laughing
that
his ass
also
off
so
over
will
there.
3 of the richest men in the world. Tesla CEO Elon Musk, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos,
Yeah, Musk,
and
you
Meta
better be
CEO
there.
Mark Zuckerberg will all have prime seating for the...
Oh, yeah, they better be there. They had to kiss the ring, or they had to go to Mar-a-Lago and say, listen, Can we talk about it?
Ceremony, sitting near Trump's cabinet picks and administration officials. I want to bring in my political
Can we
sources
talk about
tonight,
it, Trumpet
Democratic
baby?
Congressman Tom Suozzi of New York and Kevin Madden, a former senior advisor to Mitt Romney. Congressman, what do you make of the former First Lady deciding she's not going to attend the inauguration as people are looking into who was there and who wasn't? And there's been a lot of outrage over this from some people, but I mean, Trump himself did not attend the inauguration famously last year.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't want to go. I mean, maybe she's enjoying her time that she's spending wherever she is, or maybe she doesn't want to be there. No, I wouldn't read too much into it. I mean, it's the same as you said in your opening. She didn't go to the Carter funeral either, so I mean, she doesn't want to go.
Do you see it as a statement yourself?
No.
The absence?
No, it's just people just don't care about the Obamas no more.
The congressman's right. I mean, if you talk to Republicans, Democrats, anybody who's had any interactions with Michelle Obama, she does not really love this stuff, the politics. She doesn't love the pomp and circumstance that comes with a lot of the political sort of histories that we have, right?
Well, also,
a lot of the history, a lot of the traditions that we have. So,
in addition to that, the guy being sworn in has, questioned her husband's birth, where he was born.
And you know what? It'd be worse, I think, for Michelle
before,
Obama. And it probably wouldn't be authentic to herself if she went not wanting to be there, right?
Yeah.
And then, imagine and we know, like, with the cameras all being on her, trying to get all the reactions. If you think about just the roadblock coverage, that every single tiny reaction that came from President Carter's funeral.
Obama just giggling of
it. Right here.
And let me just say that, you're not hearing as much from Democrats.
Hey, Trump just can't shut the hell up, huh?
People not coming.
Typical Trump.
I think it's just a different tone. I mean, he's the president of the United States of America.
I wonder what exactly are they talking about? You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta wonder, like, what could Trump possibly be talking to Obama about? Probably some Illuminati type stuff.
Of course I'm going. I went the first time as well.
And why do you think it's important for you to go? You're an elected member of Congress, of course.
He's the president of the United States of America. I didn't vote for him, but he's the president. So
they probably both talking about how much Joe Biden is a F up, really.
So I'm going to the United States president's inauguration.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of like norms being eroded has kind of had its turn in Washington. But I do wonder, what do you make of what happened with Vice President Harris? She has not invited Vice President-elect J.D. Vance to come over to the Naval Observatory to have any kind of pre-inauguration meeting, we are told. That typically is standard, or at least a conversation between the two of them.
Yeah, I don't know what the reporting has been on why that is, but it's a missed opportunity. I think the inaugurations have always been this celebration. I mean, I remember the famous words of Bill Clinton at his first inauguration, that we hold these celebrations in the depth of winter, but they really are a thawing of the political sort of partisanship that we usually have in our country. At least there was an opportunity to do that. So I think having had Vice President Harris had J.D. Vance there, it would have been a nice gesture and something to build on.
The people who will be there, though, are people who are certainly trying to get in good with Trump. I mean, Elon Musk already certainly was there, raised a lot of money for him. But Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Sam Altman from OpenAI, we've just heard is going. I believe potentially Tim Cook is also going to be attending. A lot of these are people who either Trump said some of them should be in jail or was famously critical of them, or vice versa. What is your view as a member of Congress with oversight of a lot of these contracts that these guys have with the federal government? What's your view of that?
Well, attending the inauguration, I mean, that's, I think...
And donating.
I think it's kind of normal, but there's a lot of financial interest involved here right now in that, for example, if TikTok is banned in the United States of America, where's that business going to go? It's going to all go to Facebook and to Meta. But, that's him showing up at the inauguration or contributing to the inauguration. That's happened throughout history. We just have to have our eyes open as we go along and watch what's going on.
But it does come as there's a fascinating split happening inside the MAGA world between Elon Musk and Steve Bannon. And Steve Bannon was coming out today saying, I will get Elon Musk kicked out by the time he's inaugurated. He called him truly evil.
Well, he's working on a short schedule.
He said, of course, you get a seat at the table when you give this much money. He said, but I always argued it can't be the head of the table.
Yeah, well, look, first of all, what would it be, a Republican Party without some internal battles right now, particularly even a couple of days before we even start the inauguration, right? But look, these type of fights are going to happen. Trump could stop it. He doesn't. Why? He likes to see a lot of these squabbles, and then he likes to see who's going to win and who's not. and then sort of pick a side. I think one of the things that's interesting is Trump is a much more transactional politician. He is not somebody who is sort of moored to an ideological viewpoint. So seeing these fights play out sort of helps him gauge which way the direction's going.
They want to be around the cool kids, you know. It's like high school. Everybody's like jockeying who's going to be closer.
It is like high school, and that is not a
Yeah, well,
compliment.
we can't afford no high school. We can't afford nothing high school right now with everything we're facing, man. We're facing massive debt. We got natural disasters. We got enemies. Yeah, we can't really afford to be doing a whole high school when it be around the. I get it, but you know, if y'all gonna be coming together, please make some policies that'll make this country work. GRN Inside America. We're here with Global Reference News. Like, comment, and subscribe.